Hello everyone, I'm bringing you a video from a vet's day at the races. This was this last Sunday up at the East Lansing Kart Track, and it's sponsored by Colmar Racing. I'll explain the racing here in a little bit, and then I will talk a little bit more about the event on some of these next coming up laps. Anyways, we brought our 420 karts all the way up to East Lansing, Michigan. They don't have this class up there, and as part of this event we were basically an exhibition race up there for them to check it out. So you pull out of the pits on the way there. Start procedure works is you do one lap, kind of I'm just doing a moderate little drive around. They don't really want you scrubbing the tires. It's very similar to G&J Cartway, but this gives you a little chance to warm them up a little bit. Come around, and they do have their little start oval right here, so we're lining up. I'm starting in position 1. That's Kevin Klyer. He's starting in position 2. I think right behind me is Garrett Morgan. He's in position 3. And then in position 4, we've got Rex Johnson. So we come around. Very similar to most other starts. We're going to take off here in a second. Now, one thing when we came to the race, we had just raced Saturday evening, so we just all agreed instead of doing a bunch of maintenance, trying to set our karts up for this track, we would just all keep our setup from G&J Cartway and not mess with it, so we were all still kind of even. So we're off. And I'm heading off. I'm doing okay. Now these are, the tires are not warmed up yet, so it's pretty slip around those curves right there. And I typically drive an LO206 kart, so I'm still basically reacclimating myself to the power that these 420s put out. And I was doing pretty good when I watched footage from a distance. I'd put a pretty big gap on these guys, but I did not do this right and drove through the grass. I tried to keep my foot in it. I didn't think I lost much speed, but I lost enough that Kevin Klyer was trying to, I kind of squeezed him to the outside, and he clipped me, and around I went. So the next 4 laps are going to be boring with me driving around the back. Nothing bad happened to the kart. It did knock my fairing loose, so after about a lap behind everybody, the fairing just kind of flops down and is laying on my legs. So you'll see as it approaches, I'll pull into the pits before the race is over. But anyways, Colmar Racing, it's a young fellow up there in East Lansing, in the East Lansing area, that wanted to put together an event to honor some veterans and to raise some funds for Operation Injured Soldiers. And they had talked to one of the Racing for Vets guys, which I'm a part of, which is the group that went up there. Rex Johnson was contacted by Cole and invited up there. So sounded like a good cause to us. They paid for our entry fees, got us lunch, and were very, very hospitable. And so we made the trip. We finished racing Saturday. Probably left G&J Cartway around 12:45 a.m., very close to 1. Drove all night and got to East Lansing Kart Track around 7 a.m. in the morning. So we got a quick little cat nap. We hadn't slept really since the day before, so we were a little bit tired, but it was the challenge of trying to make this whole thing happen. It kind of made it fun, at least for me it did. So we got there, they showed us our pits, got us in for free, showed us around. It was a really nice time. Since these laps, there's no really good racing to explain since I'm in the back. They made us cupcakes. It was a pretty cool deal. It was a really nice vibe, and I enjoyed being up there. Had some nice trophies at the end as well. But this track, as you can see, it's about a half-mile track, I believe. And coming down this hill right here was a little bit of a challenge for me. I don't know if you can see my left foot, but the brakes on my kart needed a little, they need a little love, I guess you could say. I was having to brake really, really early. And right now you can see my fairing has come completely down on my legs. I'm going to pull into the pits right now. But the brakes on my kart need some work. And I should have put a fade in right there, but I didn't, so we're going into the next race very abruptly. But this is the final race. I did not put a camera on my kart during the second race, and unfortunately that was the closest race. This one wasn't too bad. We had some pretty close racing for the majority of it. And I started in the back on the position 3. I finished in 3rd. Obviously got last in that first heat because I came in early. Got 3rd in the second one. And because it was an exhibition, I mean, we were racing pretty hard, but, you know, we weren't really going to risk smashing our equipment all up, trying to dive in under people for position. And with my brakes being a little on the sub, you know, not performing as what we would like, I definitely was trying to avoid situations where I had to outbrake somebody because I just was not going to be able to do it. But the kart ran really well, and then this is I am not driving a kart that I typically drive. This is a guy in our team, Reiner Ponch. He drives this kart normally at the G&J Kartway. So we're coming around. As I already explained the start procedure, I am in position 3. Got Rex right next to me. There's Garrett up there on the front on position 2, and Kevin Clyer right in front of me. Oh, we got called off. Somebody was messing up. But, you know, they had a nice little grandstand there. They had a pretty decent crowd. It was a really family-oriented track, lots of kid classes. There wasn't a large group of, you know, adults driving there. But the children's classes were pretty heavy, and there was, I think some of Jack Roush's grandchildren were there of racing fame. And we're off, so like I said, my braking is a little on the shabby side, so I'm hanging back. Again, going through those corners back there, you know, you kind of got the feeling you were living on the edge a little bit right there, because you were, you know, it was a little bit bumpy. And you know, you got the hay bales out there in the grass. It was fairly exhilarating, I have to say. That was my nemesis, that turn right there, because it was kind of a downhiller, and with the brakes, you can see I'm hitting the brakes way up the hill. But we had pretty tight racing for the majority of this race, right here. Garrett got off the front a little bit, but we stayed within striking distance. Again, it was a beautiful day up there. The setting is quite pretty. This track will chew your tires up. I did notice that. Cole Marr, the young fellow that put this together for us, he races in you know, one of the you know, I think their largest 4-cycle class they have there is they had about 4 karts in an LO206 class, and I think that was it. The rest of them were, you know, not super familiar on them, but they're like Yamaha Y pipes and cans and whatever those things are, the 2-stroke type stuff. And I think that's what Cole was racing, one of those. But he had a good day on the track. He started on the pole in his first race, won that one. I think because he started on the pole, he started last for the second race and came all the way up to 3rd. And they had a fairly large field, maybe like 10 to 12 karts. And then that put him, I believe, probably starting on the pole for the final race, and he won his heat, or his final feature. So there's spots in here where I can try to get under Kevin, but it requires me to be able to brake hard at the end of it, so I just had to kind of back off. And unbeknownst to Kevin and I, Rex is, he may know, but he may not know, I'm not sure. But he's starting to have some issues with his back left wheel. Rex is in the number 4. I kind of touched Kevin right there a little bit, I think. Didn't slow me down at all. Motor-wise, you know, I typically drive an LO206, and these 420s are way faster. I hadn't driven one in a while, and it was pretty fun to get back into one. Okay, I must have bumped Kevin right there because I hit the brakes extra hard because he shot away from me. But I was able to kind of, every time I got dropped back a little bit, I was able to reel him back in for the most part of it. Right here, I thought I could get Kevin, and that didn't work, and I kind of, you know, screwed up with the braking. But again, I was not. I was able to run these guys back down again. So it was a fun track. It was a workout too. And I will probably drive through I'm pretty sure I drive through the grass one more time. So Garrett has checked out off the front. And basically my plan right there's another little grass run right there. My plan was to just kind of, if those guys messed up, I was going to try to get around them. And that's unfortunately when Rex's wheel basically just fell off. While we were driving, I thought he had a flat, but it wasn't a flat. It was his, where the stud stuck through the wheels. It was all stripped out. His wheel failed, it looked like. So we start reeling Garrett, or Kevin starts reeling Garrett back in, and Kevin stretches it out on me a little bit. I think when I come around this corner right here, I drive in the grass just a little bit, and it takes my momentum away, and Kevin stretches it back out on me. Like I said, everybody drove pretty well and adapted pretty well to the track. We were, I think time-wise, some of the guys, I think, in one of those wide pipe classes or whatever that was right before us, they were running, I think, maybe like 36s and 36-second laps in that range, 36, 37. I'm sure that we probably got in the 39s. I was the only one whose micron seemed to be picking up the beam. And I think my fastest time that it picked up was a 40.25. And I would have to assume that the other guys probably had a lap in that range, if not faster than me. Especially since they're in front of me most of the race. So somebody probably got in the 39s in our group. We're getting towards the end of the race, and like I said, it was a little bit rough on the tires. I personally was noticing that the back end was starting to try to come around on me around corners right there a little bit. And when you go wide out past the finish line and then back off to the left, like all down, no, not this section here, but a section coming up, it was getting a little bit hairy. Thought I was getting through that part pretty well, but once you hammer on it right now, you could try to go through this without lifting. If you did, it was a little bit hairy. The back end wanted to come around. It was a little bit bumpy. As you can see, Kevin is kind of caught up to Garrett. Garrett was losing grip on his tires on the back, as we all were, but his might have been a little more severe. And so Kevin was catching up with him, and I think I was probably staying about the same distance. I don't know. I might have closed up on a little bit on the last lap. But all in all, as we're approaching the end here, it was a really fun time. I want to thank Cole Mar Racing and Cole and his dad, Dan, for inviting us up, showing us a great time, and just making it a pretty overall enjoyable day. So have a good one, everybody out there. Make sure to like and subscribe.